was a disaster. Everything he said wasn't truth. It wasn't truthful.
That York County man is one of several people who hired the same contractor to do work at his house. It took years, but a scammer is finally behind bars. Fox 43 finds out why it is so hard to get criminal contractors to court. When you hire someone to do work around your house, you expect that work to be done and done within a reasonable time. That's not what happened for these two men.
The work was deplorable at best.
They hired Scott Kleinman. He owned Quality Exterior and Remodeling. They both found him on social media.
The gentleman claimed that he was licensed, bonded, and insured.
This is Kleinman's rap sheet. Pages and pages of different criminal charges and civil lawsuits against him as a contractor. Nothing Herb Nix or Vic Orendorff knew when they hired him.
It was a disaster. Everything he said wasn't truth. It wasn't truthful.
Nix wanted some work done on a farmette.
So I wrote him a check for $500. Never saw him again.
He says the contractor started giving every excuse in the book.
It was 40 plus times that he was supposed to be there that he made an excuse and didn't show up. I contacted the police department right away and said, hey, what do I do? And they said, well, you can file a complaint, but because he had dropped off a couple of supplies and did some very, very minimal work, they said it's going to be civil.
Nix did file a civil case. Orendorff started the process too. He just needed some work done on a roof and paid a $7,000 deposit to Kleinman.
He initially installed the roof. The roof leaked like a sieve after replacing the roof.
The pair, who didn't know each other beforehand, started posting on social media about their experiences. And other people said the same thing happened to them.
The stories were surprisingly similar, and that's when we started really saying, hey, we got to do something.
They started a Facebook group for victims of Scott Kleinman.
It was amazing how many responses I received through the community of other concerned people who was ripped off by this same gentleman.
That is what got the ball rolling.
We all united as one and went after him.
York County Detective Jeff Snell took on the case.
We saw a pattern, a course of conduct on Mr. Kleinman's part to intentionally defraud these victims out of monies.
Typically, if a contractor comes, does some work, and doesn't finish, it becomes a civil case. But this case showed a pattern of it happening again and again and again, with plenty of documentation. That's why the district attorney's office was able to file criminal charges.
This was one group of tenacious victims. That's the way I would describe them.
Plenty of victims thought Kleinman was a good choice because he showed that he was a registered home improvement contractor with the state. In Pennsylvania, contractors register with the state attorney general's office. They fill out an application, pay $50, and get a contractor number.
People don't know who they're actually dealing with. They think that, hey, he's licensed by the state, you know, he must be legitimate, he's not going to take advantage of us. And that's far from the contrary.
Contractors are supposed to disclose if they have ever been convicted or pled guilty to a crime related to a home improvement transaction, although it's not hard to fib.
They put the business under a girlfriend's name, or they put the business under a wife's name, and they don't have anything to do with the business.
The victims think Kleinman likely fibbed on his registration, and they want harsher laws in Pennsylvania to prevent crimes like this from happening in the future. Stricter legislation has been introduced, but it has gone nowhere in the state.
The good one's not a problem because they're doing the job, but it allows the bad ones to take that credential and say, hey, look, I'm licensed, I know what I'm doing.
Kleinman is now behind bars. He pled guilty to deceptive business practices for scamming people like Nix and Orendorff out of a total of $50,000.
This is kind of an emotional thing for me.
Now the victims want to make sure no one else goes through the same thing.
It's not just a Scott Kleinman. There's other Scott Kleinmans out there.
Detectives think we're going to start to see even more of these cases now that a lot of the pandemic-related unemployment payments have ended. People may be looking for odd jobs who aren't qualified. You can go to fox43.com for a simple step-by-step guide to make sure you are hiring the right person for the job, including how you can check their criminal record for free. And if you have a consumer story or scam that you want me to look into, Fox 43 wants to find out. Let me know. Email Fox43 Finds Out at fox43.com or join the Fox 43 Finds Out group on Facebook.